Guys. Okay. This is what if Bardock and Gine survived along with Bardock's team? So in canon, it was just Goku that was in a pod. In this version, it's going to be Bardock and his entire team. I'm going to say none of his team had kids or a wife or anything. Yeah, that's just what I'm going to say because, well, we've never seen them, so yeah. Bardock has a power level of 10,000. Gine, give me a second, I'm not sure what the power level. Okay, I found a picture. It shows Bardock's power level at 10,000 and Gine's power level at 1,000. Hold on, I'll give you the power and the picture of Bardock's team. Okay, so here's what it is. It shows that lady with a power level of 2,000. It shows the fatter dude with a power level of 4,200. Shows this big guy with a balding head with a power level of 4,000. And it shows this dude over here with the one band on his arm, a power level of 5,000. This is going to be who survives. This is Bardock's team. Here's a picture of them all together. Yeah, she got cut off in the picture anyway. Yes. So Bardock 10,000. That's why he's the leader. Okay, so that was Bardock's team's power level and Gine and Bardock's power level. Goku had a power level of 2, and I'm going to say that Raditz stayed out like in canon, and he doesn't come back, so yeah. It's gonna have to be another 20 years before they see him. Oh yeah, I'm tired. Anyway, yeah. So here's what happens. Bardock and Gine go with Goku instead of it just being Goku. The reason Bardock was able to go with is because he found a way to, when he's really calm, he can lower his power level, but the most he can do is like from 10,000 to 5,000, but he says should work enough. Maybe they'll think it's just like normal or something. I don't know. So Gine and Bardock, even Goku, they all go, and they know it's going to be really difficult to fight off the Frieza force, but they think, let's go to a place where they won't think it's a good idea to go, because it just seems worthless. They go to Earth. They know it's got a lot of nice things, and when they land on Earth, it's actually a crash. But in this version, it's more than just Bardock and Gine and Goku who goes. It was Bardock's entire team. That's right, all of them went as well. Dude with 5,000 power level, chick with 2,000, the dude with 4,200, and the dude with 4,000. And they're all going, and the way in canon what happened after they were ambushed by Frieza's men, and Bardock had to kill them all Frieza's men off after they killed Bardock's entire team, and Bardock was really exhausted. So yeah, that's what happened, but this isn't like that. In this world, in this multiverse where I'm making it, Bardock, he fights and winds up he wakes up before them, and when that happens, Bardock starts to fight, and with his team backing him up in this version, they win. And there was no casualties on Bardock's team, they were just really badly injured. Then you just see all these pods flying out before that blast hits. It's right as the blast is flying in, so they think that they're just pods that are sent flying, which is actually what they look like, because the people in them are actually basically using their force to push them. They used the force of the explosion to push them, and they had the coordinates to Earth set to go off whenever the thing was turned on. They didn't have it turned on, they were just gripping onto the sides. Anyway, yeah, they were just gripping onto the sides of it. Although Goku was inside of his, so they thought, whatever, it's just a power level of 2, because Bardock had seen it flying and then was flying up to it. They can hold one person, but, I mean, they can hold 2 people if wanted. Gine was in one, they thought 1,000 power level. Really weak. probably gonna die before they even reach it. Probably was originally a warrior. They think that was actually gine just being really weak. They all fly there in their pods. They all land on Earth, heavily hit because they haven't eaten or done anything in days, which Saiyans and all that need a lot of food to survive, as we see from Goku and Vegeta and Gohan and Goten and any other Saiyan that eats like 400 million calories a day. Anyway, Goku gets back to what he was doing, and what I mean by this is, like, Grandpa Gohan finds them because they all crash in the same area, like the exact same area at once. He says strange, and they all open their pods and fall out of it, asking for help. And Grandpa Gohan has a power level of 200 in canon, I'm gonna say, and so does Roshi. I mean, in this version they have a power level of 200. And in this version, Gohan drank that water that makes it where you'll live forever unless you get killed. That's actually what happens to Roshi a couple times. He would live forever. We've seen this happening because even at the end of there's even a scene where he's not even aged a day. He looks the exact same as when they went and saw, for when they first met him to when Krillin was an old man going and visiting him again, looked the exact same. So I'm going to say that they did that, and in this version, they know about the Dragon Balls, and they think it could be useful. And then they wonder if they can bring their entire race back. He says, I don't know, give it a shot. And then Bardock and all of them basically gather up all the Dragon Balls, which took them a couple months, even though this was once they were full rested, which took about a week. And they noticed that everything was so weak, and Bardock wasn't lowering his power level at all. No one just went towards it because it was just like weird. They just didn't go to it. They just thought it was weird. They just didn't go. Didn't think it was a Saiyan or anything. They just left. It left Earth alone because they really couldn't sense much from it. But the only power level of power was really Bardock. And when they were all gathering the Dragon Balls, Grandpa Gohan was taking care of Goku. This is when the whole head injury thing happens. And Bardock and Gine and Bardock's entire team were mad about this. And he says he was sorry. But Bardock didn't think that would be enough. But Gine said it's alright. And if y'all know anything, happy wife, happy life. Yeah. So Bardock says fine. But is he fine? But is he okay? Because he was really worried about his son. Grandpa Gohan says he's fine. Completely perfect, actually. Not even an injury on him. It's like, what? He says, there's these things called sensu beans. It can heal any injury in a matter of seconds. As long as you're not missing an arm. As long as you aren't missing a limb, it should be able to heal you. But it will stop the bleeding if you are missing a limb. Bardock is intrigued by this, because they're all a little bit beaten up, because, well, they've been training, and said, that could help a lot with our power increasing. Because they know they're going to eventually have to fight all the Saiyan, the entire Frieza force, if they want to make it safe, which they do. And at this point, I'm going to say that lady with the power level of 2,000 has a power level of 10,000 times 5. Everyone's getting a power level boost times 5. Bardock's power level went from 10,000 to 50,000. Gine has 5,000. Even she was training. That bald guy with a power level of 4,000 now has a power level of 20,000. And that fat guy, I'm going to say, being that his power level was 4,200, I'm going to say it was 21,000. Yes, I did the math for all that.
And then you have that dude with the power level of 5,000 who was the second in command. His power level is... what should I make it? Oh yeah, it's a 5 times multiplier for every one of them. 25,000. Bardock's basically being still double even his second in command. Notices that everyone's really weak. But then Goku starts to grow, and we're getting into we're getting into Dragon Ball when Bulma gets here. He's 12, and he's a lot more muscular, like, because he was actually being trained. And I'm going to say that Grandpa Gohan and Roshi had met up during this time. The full moon happened but instead of, like, Grandpa Gohan being killed by Goku in this mode, I want to say Bardock himself became Great Ape and said no one else looked at the moon. And they listened because he was their leader. Bardock became Great Ape and basically calmed his son down at the cost of getting a big ol' hit to his stomach. But his power level is high enough to where this doesn't do much. So yeah, they just ignored the whole thing, and Grandpa Gohan asked about that. They said it's something that their race can do. He said, I know you're aliens, but I didn't know you could do that. And then Bardock got an idea with the Dragon Balls. He said, would you like to become a Saiyan? And Grandpa Gohan said yes, and Roshi and him had both wished for their youth back since they wanted to look young, because they won't change their look, ever. They won't look different. They all got the water, so they all look pretty young. They all stay in their look the whole time, and they all look young. I know the Saiyans wouldn't need it, but Goku had it. I'm going to say it. The other ones had drank it too, and they all said, it's a good power booster, but not much. It only did about 2 times our power. I'm going to say it has a multiplier of 2 when you drink it, but it only works once. So, yeah, Bardock's power level is 100,000. His second in command is 50,000. The dude with the power level of 4,200 is 42,000. The dude with the power level of 20,000 now has a power level of 40,000. The chick with the power level of 10,000 now has power level of sorry guys, having a brain fart. It's 20,000 now. And as Goku grows, he notices that his power level from 2, as Goku's growing, his power level goes from 2 to 20 in a couple days, and I'm going to say, being that he had power level 175 when he met Bulma, in this version, when he meets Bulma, his power level is an easy 300, is an easy 1,000. So yes, he's even at, and Gine, who had a power level of 5,000, has a power level of 10,000. Because Gine is not much of a fighter, but she notices that her power is equivalent to that of Bardock when they were as Saiyans instead of as Earthlings, and they all notice that they're Saiyan Earthlings now, and they're all welcomed into the society. Gine helps cook the food, and so does that other girl with the weak power level, with a power level of 20,000, which is actually superior to what superior to what Vegeta was. His power level of Vegeta, Nappa, and what's his name? Raditz. In canon, it was 1,000 for Raditz, 5,000 for Nappa, and 18,000 for Vegeta. In this version, they grabbed Kaba and they heard about Broly. Broly's power level is 40,000. I'm going to say that in this version they asked for all living Saiyans to be brought to them because they knew they were the strongest things the Saiyans had ever seen. So yes, I'm not going to say they asked for that, but like what they asked for the Grandpa Gohan and Roshi to become Saiyans, and they wanted to. So yeah, that wish was done. Um, then you have the whole thing about the whole being around. When Bulma gets there, Goku straight up just does his normal thing, only he's been around 2 women his whole life, so he knows the difference. Yeah, and he's not just... And he's 12, but like, he's a strong guy. He can pick up... he picks the truck up... He can pick a truck up with no problem. In canon, he had a power level of 1,500. Right now, he has a power level of 30,000, I want to make it, but I'm not really sure. That's almost as strong as some of the stronger team members, so I'm not really sure. I'm gonna say Goku, that we've seen that Saiyan kids can do that before, so yeah, I'm gonna say it's possible. I'm talking about Goku's kids did that, so yeah, he even has more power. So he has a power level of 20,000 at the moment, and both Gine and that lady were very sad because this kid who wasn't even 12, who was only 12, had more power than them. Now, while the other one said she was tied with him, she knew that his fighting ability was a lot more powerful than hers because he did the same martial arts training that they did, and he did it from being a little baby, and kids learn things faster. And being that he trained a lot with Bardock, he actually got a power level of 30,000 in this version. So right then, they noticed that he's strong as both of them combined, and he starts training with both of them at once. And I'm going to say that it's difficult, but it's still doable. They do fight he trains with 2 of them, sorry about that. He trains with both of them at once, which is more than enough to get someone really powerful. And they notice that the kid's actually pretty tough. And all the grown-ups are all training too. And now I'm going to say they all have a power level like 40 for that chick who had 20. I'm doubling their powers up again. You have 200,000. You have 20,000. You have 40,000. You have 84. You have 80. And you have 100. So yes, that dude who's half as strong as Bardock stays half as strong as Bardock, but like he does it the whole time, and it's just like he's getting real sick of being the half as strong as his leader. He wants to actually get less of a difference in power, so he starts saying, Bardock, you're the strongest thing around, even though, and they all know about the whole thing about the Frieza transformations and how his first form is already stronger than all of them put together, 500,000. So they're just like, we have to keep training, and they do. But this is when like all the things from Dragon Ball happen right now. Bulma gets there. She sees that Goku, Raditz, and all the guys, even Grandpa Gohan in this version, who is just called Uncle Gohan because he doesn't look old. He trains. They all keep training, and in this version, they keep training like beasts. And whenever they get there, they see that, wow, Goku is unstoppable. Like, she'd accidentally hit Goku and sent him back, but really just busted her car. It didn't really mess up Goku at all. It just sent him back a little bit because he was shocked about being hit by a car. Bardock and all of them got into the defensive of a fighting stance, and he said, come down, come down, come down. I'm looking for the Dragon Ball. And they say, oh, you looking for those?
Yeah, they won't be good for about 2 months. And she says, what? They said, yeah, we used them not too long ago. We used them about 10 months ago, so they won't really be able to be used again. Grandpa Gohan in this time has a power level of 20,000. Scratch that. I'm gonna say his power level of 40,000. Just make him OP. Roshi, 40,000 too. 40,000 for both Grandpa Gohan and Roshi, so they can actually keep up and be really powerful. And then when it's just like, wow, we're about to get destroyed. And she says, fine, but can you help me gather the others? They say, sure. People have been looking for him, but we have to know you aren't going to try messing them up. People have been looking for him. We can't really give him away, though. What do you have that's worth that we can actually use? And she pulls that thing, and then and then Bardock said, I'm a happily married man. Leave me alone, lady. And then Goku's saying, she's pretty, which is enough for Bardock to laugh a ton. And Bardock gets to what he does best, training and pulling a Piccolo. In this version, Piccolo, he still spits that egg thing out, and Gine's the reason why that they don't kill baby Piccolo. They say, he'll come around. He just needs to be better than his parents. And they say, yeah. And in this version, the way all the fighting thing happens, when they see, um, when when they meet Yamcha, they straight up send him flying with a literal flick. And Bardock and the entire team, even Grandpa Gohan went with them. They all went together to get the Dragon Balls because they know that there's some powerful, annoying things that are really annoying to deal with, so they were just going to deal with that. The Red Ribbon Army, in this version, Jiro's son died. Same thing in canon. Red Ribbon Army gets demolished. But in this version, while Jiro in canon survived and made the androids, this version of Jiro, they all know that they don't really know about Jiro and any of that, so they just think, whatever. They stood against us, they died. Not my problem. Which is what the entire team says. And now we're when they're trying to put out the Ox King's mountain, here's exactly how that goes down. It's on fire, it's on fire, it's on fire, what do we do? Bardock, blast. And Bardock learned the Kamehameha. Goku learned the Kamehameha. Bardock really isn't he's still the strongest, but not for long. When Goku gets more of a teenage body, they all knew about the hyperbolic time chamber, and they go to that every now and again. They'll go to it, and it can hold as many as they want. So they all train together in it. And the way it usually works is that they all train together with a ton, and they bring a ton of food because Saiyans need a lot to eat. They bring a ton of food, and usually, and I'm gonna say they had Krillin and Yamcha, even Tien went with them. Tien and all of them chose to go with Goku because Goku still wanted them to stop being like that and wanted them to become allies. So that's what Bardock allowed, but he kept an eye on everyone. And Bardock noticed that all the humans are getting power levels around 1,000 at most. And he says, would y'all like to become Saiyans? They asked what it would do to them, and Bardock saying, you'll want to train more, you'll want to fight more, but mainly just make you stronger. You'll get a tail, but you can chop it off if you want. It turns you into an Ozaru when you see the moon. You can control this form, not to the real. There's some people who can control it perfectly, other people who can't really control it that well. I can control it pretty well, but not much. They say, okay, makes sense. So,
Yeah. And Goku says, and in this version, Bardock knows about Broly and him. So he says, I wish we could go back out there, but we don't have any fuel. Even with all the fuel put together, we couldn't even hold 3 people. So they say, fine, we can't get them, but we could use the Dragon Balls to wish them here, but not really sure how well that would work. And they say, whatever. Because Bardock's really the leader of them all, but like Goku's like actually now the second in command. Well, the second in command at a power level of 100,000, and Bardock at a power level of 200,000. Both their power levels are this dude's power level tripled where he has 300,000, and Bardock's power level doubled where he has 400,000. If you're wondering why I'm changing that a lot, they all train together. The human's power level became around 20,000. Goku's power level is around 100,000. Bardock's power level, I'm going to keep it up a little bit because 3,000, I'm going to say 300,000. I'm going to say instead of it being 400, it's actually 500,000. And Goku knows that he's only a fifth of as strong as his dad, so he doesn't really challenge him. But he gets an idea. He knows that his Ozaru form has a 10 times multiplier. So he says, if my dad didn't have his tail, I could win with one hit. And that's actually how it would work with power level that different. So, Goku actually wants to learn more training, and I'm going to say that Kami actually said there is ways. The King Kai Bardock is actually the first person to go, but like it's not the same as Goku where anyone can go because Goku's there. It's actually where his team had trouble making it there. They all made it there, but they were all really tired afterwards. And Bardock was the only one who was unfazed by the gravity. Sorry about that, guys. But they all trained together, and when it said catch the monkey, he straight up, all of them straight up ran at full speed. Bardock being the first one to actually catch the monkey a couple seconds after it ran off, because he literally just sat there and just blitzed past it and grabbed it and saying, this is not difficult. Set it back down, saying, okay, now try and they do the whole weight thing that Goku did in canon, and they all learned Kaioken. They all learned the Spirit Bomb. They all learned how to lift weights and all that. I mean, not really lift weights, but like, they did the same kind of training Goku did, which, if you didn't know, training to fight Frieza, he actually was lifting weights in 100 times gravity. And King Kai's planet has 10 times gravity, so while it's not as effective, it's still a good training ground. In this version, Goku's a lot smarter. He's like Gohan level smart, because, well, his mom was there to teach him right from wrong and all that, and they all wanted him to be smart. And when he meets Chi-Chi, he still gets with Chi-Chi in this version, but yeah. Gohan is stillborn. I'm gonna get to the. I'm going to say they battled at. They battled. He battled Piccolo, but in this version, Piccolo absolutely was not the final battle. It was actually Bardock versus Goku. Piccolo, he was easily dealt with, but he's trained with Goku, and he actually became friends with Goku because Goku's kinder personality, and Bardock being like, all the time, he realized that Goku's not that bad a guy, and Goku's the one who actually took down Piccolo. I'm going to say it was Piccolo, and I'm going to say it was Bardock who took down Piccolo, but Goku and all of them helped, because in this version, Piccolo had asked for power to beat the Saiyans. Shinron said, I will help with that. And he knows that he wasn't powerful enough, not even in his prime, so they'll do that. And in this version, Goku is still the champion because he had a way of beating his dad. Knowing how powerful his dad was, he kept training in secret from his dad, lowering his power level, and they can lower the power level up to... Bardock can lower his power level to 1,000 to see it. Everyone can lower their power level to look around 200. Everyone else, 200. That guy half as strong as Bardock, 500. And those dudes like that, 800. Yeah. Anyway, If you're wondering why I haven't really done more power on Bardock's team, they're getting the same kind of boosts that everyone else is getting. So for Bardock being so powerful, they're really powerful as well, but like not really overpowered. And they all had drank that water, so they're basically untouchable. Basically, they'll live for a long time. They'll live forever, kind of like Roshi will. But Roshi wished for his youth back, and Roshi and him did the buff training, and so did Bardock and all them. But like they found it to be really annoying to keep up the buff form. It drained a lot of stamina and all that. So they really just said, not really my style. The bigger guy said, it works for me, but I'm already pretty big, so it just makes me look a little bit different. And Roshi said, indeed, it does. And they all know who the oldest one there is, Roshi, and all of them know that when all the when all the human Saiyans had became Saiyans, the way it works is that your entire body gets demolished and your soul gets put into a more Saiyan-like body. Basically, it makes the Saiyan. And Goku being the strong, actually having an equal power level to his dad at 1 million, they know they could actually probably fight Frieza now. They probably wouldn't win, but they'd probably be able to easily fight him and stay par to par until he actually changed forms. And even like Piccolo had done that, and I'm going to say Bardock had heard of the Super Saiyan God and all that. He'd actually heard of it, though he really had thought it was a rumor. Anyway, Bardock and all of them keep fighting, keep training, and then you have them all meeting up all meeting up at the Kame House. They still do that, and in this version everyone's there, and they're all lowering their power levels to seem normal because they don't want Frieza's force all coming in and just going like thousands of people. It's just like not gonna deal with that, so they keep themselves hidden with their power levels seeming around. Bardock keeps his around 10,000. Gina keeps hers around 1,000. Yeah, they all keep it around their canon power levels. And Goku keeps his around 10,000 as well, even though he's actually equivalent, because he's equivalent in strength to his father. He tries hiding it down to like 900, because his mother. And they all actually, when Bardock gets there, he actually, in this version, Piccolo's even there, so they're all there. He actually flies over to where all the power levels are, and he says, "What? Dad, brother, mother, Dad's team. What are y'all doing here?" Good. I found you. We're trying to fight Frieza. He says this, but Gine actually punches him in the head for trying to, like, kill people. Boom. And Bardock said, I felt that one before. And Goku saying, same. And Gine actually is putting Raditz in his place. And Bardock and Goku he actually lunges to grab Goten. To grab Gohan in this version, which Gohan and Goten are actually twins. Actually, I'm going to say Gohan has a twin in this version, and he's named Goku. And Gohan is still named Gohan just because. And in this version, those twins, they can both pack a punch. One looks like Goku. The other looks somewhat like Raditz, actually, because they're brothers. I'm going to say he has somewhat of a little bit like Raditz appearance. And I'm going to say actually one looks like Goku, the other looks like Raditz, the other looks like Gohan. And then Raditz is just like, wow. Actually, no, one does not look like Goku. One looks somewhat like Raditz, but, like, not really. The other is Gohan. So Goku looks like Raditz. The kid Goku looks like Raditz, and all that. Well, I've had a long video. Anyway, Goku keeps training, and in this version, Raditz actually doesn't do anything. Raditz saying the other Saiyans will be here in a year, and they say, "How are you so strong? And how are these things got tails? They're humans, aren't they?" No, the others I saw had tails. And they said the Dragon Balls and all that. They said to Raditz, and Raditz keeps that scowler on his face, even though. And all of them basically say, "It's useless, man. You can't even detect our power level. You can detect our power levels, but it won't do much. Because it doesn't blow up on your face." I'm gonna say some of them do. Like, if the power level is over 100,000, it'll blow up in your face. But like, there's some, like, that can actually measure, like, Frieza's power level that I'm going to say they don't have, but, like, is actually doable. It's the ones that are going to get brought to Frieza. And Goku keeps doing his thing about fighting and training and all that. And in this version, they wish Bardock and all them had super strength and all that. And Bardock at this point has a power level of 3 million. Goku has a power level of 3 million. Bardock has a power level of 2 million. And everyone else has a power level of around 1 million. They think that that'd be more than enough. And they're all really tired and old, and they think they were just too old. So they all get a power level around 2 million. I'm going to say all the gaps were breached and all that, to where they stopped training at 1 million, while the other ones kept training to where they could get to 1 million. Bardock. So Gine has a power level of 1 million. All of them have a power level of 1 million. And them getting there in 1 year wouldn't really matter because the Hyperbolic Time Chamber and the Dragon Balls were used. Piccolo, his power level is easily 1,500,000. And Goku notices that Piccolo is not as strong as Bardock, as Raditz, and they ask if they can make a wish on the Dragon Balls. In this version, Kami's been training too. He asked for his youth back too. So he's been training to where he can actually, and now the dragon can do 3 wishes. So, 1 wish. They want Bardock to be about 2/3 as powerful as they are. And they say, "I can do that." And Shinron says, "Your wish has been granted." And Bardock's just like, Raz is just like, "So much strength, I didn't know I could have this." And then you have, they say, "We wish Piccolo had the same booster as Saiyans did, so we wouldn't have to work much harder than Saiyans. And the same thing, when you're close to death, you will become more powerful." They say, "Your wish has been granted." And for the final one, they wish for a fridge that makes infinite food that'll never go bad. And then Shinron says, "Your wish has been granted." Because they notice that they need a lot of food to feed all these Saiyans. And Chi-Chi, knowing all of them are Saiyans, and being that there's a lot of Saiyans there, they know how to really fight. And in this version, they're all pure-hearted. So yeah. And they don't really ever, like, have to give power. And I'm going to say Goku and Bardock are actually going blow to blow in this version, and I'm going to say Raditz and Piccolo are training, and they don't have Super Saiyan quite yet, but they're close enough to where they can soon get it. Goku keeps training and all of them keep training to where they can actually hit to where actually Raditz and all that. I'm gonna say Raditz and Piccolo power boost to where they actually have a 3,000 power level, 3 million power level, and Bardock has a power level of 4 million. Goku has power level of 4 million and 500. Not 500,000, just 500, so there's a very little power gap. Bardock straight up does a couple push-ups and all that, and gets the power level equivalent to his son. They think, we should push it to 5 million. And then Vegeta comes, and notices that they all got power levels stronger than him. But he sees that they are all lowering their power levels to where they were. Bardock can't really lower it back to 10,000. He can only go to 20,000 at his lowest. So it's said, "He's as strong as you. She's stronger than you, Vegeta." And he said, "What are you doing here, Prince?" And the prince said, "Bow," which is enough to make Bardock say, die. Which, Vegeta, thinking that they can take him, both Nappa and... Hold on a second, guys. Okay, so here's what happens. Raditz and... Nappa and Vegeta both tried fighting. Make a ton of Cybermen, and they all try to attack Bardock at once. And they try slicing Bardock's tail off. They actually do. But your tail can grow back 3 times before it's completely gone forever. So yeah. They slice his tail off, thinking that'll be enough to fully end him. It's not. And they notice that his tail comes back. And it starts to regrow slowly. And they think that this will take forever. They all use that Ozaru form transformation. They didn't notice Goku was building up showed his full power. Since they were all focused on Bardock, since power levels, they'd have to aim it and check the person's power level. And they were checking only Bardock's. They ignored Goku. And Goku's power level being almost half a billion, which is 5 million. No, not half a billion, but it will be soon. Which they're all equivalent in strength to Frieza. Only Frieza's not Frieza's full power, because his full power is 100 mil. They don't have 100 mil. They only have a couple. And they all have 10 million as their power level, and Bardock has a power level of 20 mil. So does Goku, and I'm gonna say Raditz has a 19 mil So does what's his name? Piccolo. Yeah, Raditz and Piccolo have 19. Goku and Bardock have 20. So they're really close. If they went to blow for blow. And Piccolo developed that technique in case he ever had to fight someone really strong like Bardock again. Although Bardock can send the thing flying backwards to the side, it's not unreasonable to say that he could have a power level of 1,000 and send that thing flying through Vegeta's chest, though it would be difficult. And they actually learned about King Kai and all that after that, so they all know about the Kaioken, and they know about the multiplier of this thing. And they went and asked Shinron about the Saiyan transformation. They were asking about Super Saiyan. He said, there are 4 types of Super Saiyan. Super Saiyan 1, Super Saiyan 2, Super Saiyan 3, and Super Saiyan 4. Super Saiyan is achieved when you're mad. Super Saiyan 2 is achieved when you're building your power up and mad. And Super Saiyan 3 is achieved when all of that but a lot of your power. He says the power points where you have to be at least 2 million to get Super Saiyan, and you have to be mad. You have to be at least 10 million to get at least 100 million to get Super Saiyan 2. You have to be at least 100 billion to get Super Saiyan 3, and for Super Saiyan 4, all you have to do is master the Ozaru form. And they say, that's all? They say, it's even more difficult than achieving all these. They notice that the more powerful they are, the closer they are to it. So, yes, Bardock's entire team and all them, and they've actually been close to mastering it, but they won't be able to master before achieving Super Saiyan 1 through 3. So, I'm going to say that they all try pushing their power to its limits, and even that entire team does, and they all achieve Super Saiyan, even Raditz. Piccolo doesn't achieve Super Saiyan per se. He says, I hate this. But they asked if he could get transformations as well. They said Super Namekian, Super Namekian 2, Super Namekian 3, Super Namekian 4, and God Namekian, which is the same thing as Super Saiyan God. If you're wondering why I'm giving Piccolo all these boosts, because I want him to stay main character level. Vegeta and Nappa are both knocked completely out. And even like Yamcha, who's the weakest one there, with a power level of 1 million, could basically flick both Vegeta and Nappa and kill him. So then they go to Namek, because not that the Dragon Balls were destroyed, just because they found out that there might be a way they can bring their entire race back by the Namekian Dragon Balls, and they say could be worth a shot. They all keep training and all that, and Bulma makes them a ship, because they all kept good contact with Bulma, and she makes a ship that has the whole 100 times gravity, but they noticed that wouldn't be enough. She makes one with 3 million times gravity at most, but they all start training in 10 times gravity. They find out they basically are able to walk around in it like it's a normal old thing. And I'm going to say the planet of the Saiyans had 2 times gravity of Earth, so yeah. So Goku keeps training and all that, and I'll cover the Namek arc and and Frieza and all them, like, on part 2. Sorry I couldn't do much, guys. I went through all Dragon Ball though, so yeah. Bye.